ladies and gentlemen. A little sip of coffee, a little Bailey's in it. Not from a shoe. I got one of these sandwiches. I kind of screwed it up this morning. What you're supposed to do is scramble 2 eggs, and you're supposed to have a nice hot skillet. I saw it on Facebook about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, and you pour your egg mixture out, and immediately you want to throw in your 2 pieces of bread. And as soon as that cooks, you want to flip the whole conglomeration over, and you kind of fold in your egg on top of it, put in some cheese, some bacon, and flop the whole thing together, and then toast it both sides. Unfortunately, I've made like 8 or 10 of these sandwiches. This morning, my skillet wasn't hot enough, and it just kind of fell apart. My dad was saying that if your skillet's hot enough, the egg won't actually stick to it. So I was saving this part until there's at least 1 or 2 people in here. Good morning, and may the 4th be with you. We got 2 people in here. All right. So let me work on getting the chat together. Oh, 1 person in here now. It looks like it's Eileen Braden. Pop chat out. And yes, may the 4th be with you. I'm an absolute nerd. This is a holiday for me. Properties. Control V. Okay. All right. Get that over there. And let's share the stream around, shall we? And feel free to share it around of your own volition as well. Just share it in, text it to people, text everyone you know. Let's go to the Facebook, the Book of Faces. Let's share this on the group. May the 4th. I can't type. Oh, boy. So this is 2 nights in a row that I've actually had a good night's sleep. So I cannot be happier. Still haven't gotten the up and running yet. The website up and running yet. We ended up spending most of yesterday with her parents, Michaela's parents, for a social distancing picnic, which was the 2nd time we've done it. It's still very odd, and my stomach is growling, so let me take a little bite of the sandwich. Bacon. So let me plop this over to the chat because we got a couple people talking, and let's get this on the roll. Good morning, Eileen, and good morning, Laura. And also with you. Oh, boy. How was your weekend, Eileen and Chris? Mine went pretty well. So, I told you about yesterday. What I didn't tell you was I was also doing a lot of research. Apparently, and unfortunately, the giveaways I've been doing were illegal. Because I don't have a standard rule book to give everyone, and whatever. So I'm gonna have to do that this week. And I was doing some research, and last week's item and the week before that I made those these two guys, the SD card holder and the whatchamacallit, the Moleskine notebook holder, they're like $60-$70 a pop. So yeah, all I have to do is put a set of rules for the giveaway. Basically, it has to be no money to enter. It won't affect any of that. Void where prohibited. I have to disavow YouTube as having any involvement with the giveaway. It can't be cash. Blah 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 blah. So that might also be a reason. That never even occurred to me, but that might also be a reason why I got my stream pulled on Friday, and that could be contained in. It's not in the well, yeah, that would be in the description, or at least a link to the rules. So I have to figure that out sometime this week before Saturday, and find some way to also further control the sound or audio of what I'm doing. It doesn't surprise me that it would have such value. When I was making them, I think they'd be like $20 items, $30 items. 4 hours. Well, even if I cut that down, to 1 hour, I'd still be barely making it. But now that they're doubled in value in my mind, well, now we're talking. And why doesn't it surprise you that they would have such a high value? Guys, not to change the subject or to make it kind of weird that I'm eating on camera, but these sandwiches, you really got to try it. It's 2 pieces of bacon, 2 eggs, 2 pieces of toast, and I use 3 pieces of cheese instead of 2 because I like cheese. Out of this world good. Because they're handcrafted and well-crafted leather goods. I don't know. And Eileen, you can back me up on this. I'm great at pricing stuff for other people. When it comes to my stuff, and my wife yells at me all the time for this, I don't value my own time and energy nearly as much as I should. So she yells at me for that. Mike yells at me for it. I mean, I don't know. But really, the sandwich, make one for yourself. It is fantastic. Yeah, I've noticed that you undervalue yourself and your products. Well, I mean, I don't know. So, for this week, I'm going to finish the website. I kind of got a start on it. Yeah, you have a couple times. So that's my plan there. I have an item listing that I want to start making some stuff for the website. Obviously the SD card holder, the notebook holder, maybe do a wallet, like a bifold wallet, and a like a minimalist wallet. What else is there? Pipes, obviously, and all the accoutrement that goes with pipes. All shaving stuff, dot bags, blah 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 blah, and Eileen's merchandise, beard balm, beard care stuff. So that's gonna get thrown in there, and I need to work up all that stuff this week. Someone send me a message. No, I'm getting yelled at. I'm getting yelled at because I snoozed an alarm. So that's my plan for that. I need to get the done. The giveaway rules. So that's going to be fun. I need to find a heat transfer foil machine. Apparently, and this is just from looking, doing an hour of looking, Tandy Leather no longer makes it. So I need to track that down because that looks like it's one of the best on the market. It's only like $150. And I think that's the final key to getting my stuff to be nice and professional. So I can put a little brand on it, or foil stamp it. I think that's the last piece of the puzzle. And then I could start selling my leather goods. Because that would be sexy. Just saying. I mean, like, think about it. You get this all nice thing, and it's branded beautifully. Oh, yeah. That's the last piece of the puzzle, I think. The last piece of the puzzle. And figuring out what leathers I want to work for, or work with. I really like that Cobra leather that I've been. It's not actually Cobra. It's called Cobra. It's. I think it's baby buffalo, and it's like 2 to 3 ounces. It's this stuff. Super soft, super supple. It's so nice to work with. It really is. And then I need to figure out what I'm doing for this weekend's live stream. The last two have been excessively long, and I've kind of been yelled at for that. So I need to find a way to cut that down. I think what I'm going to do is make a measurements, take all my measurements first and then make patterns first, so that I don't have to try and figure that out on camera. And that should cut down 45 minutes to an hour to where it's more acceptable. I've had several people yell at me that my Saturday live streams are a little too long. So, those are my plans for this week, for the most part. And then I'm going to figure out, change the oil in the car, my car, Michaela's car, clean the cars out because mine's a garbage scow at this point. And I can't even blame anyone but me. Let's see. I don't know. So what is y'all's plans for this week? What are you guys doing? What are your plans for the day? What are your plans for the week? I also need to do my brakes and rotors. That's going to be fun. Need to finish the sandwich too because it's delicious and it's getting cold. So pardon me for eating, but I'm starving and this is good. So website, contest rules, and pattern for Saturday, and hot foil stamper. Those are all my main. those are all my main things. Let's see, Eileen. I have to start and finish my Adopt a Senior projects. Get the rest of the stuff that I don't know I needed for Water Slide. And prepare my mind to go back to work next week. Oh, and Lightbox and camera. You said you weren't getting that camera, Eileen. You said you weren't getting that camera. You got the camera, didn't you? You got the camera. Oh, he is such a sweetheart. Speaking of Mother's Day, I have some schmutz in my beard. Yeah. Speaking of Mother's Day, I need to finish my Mother's Day shopping because that's coming in quick. Yeah, I need to finish that. And oh boy, cameras. Let me finish the sandwich, and then I have some stuff to talk to you guys about cameras. Cameras. All right. So, a lot of you know that I want to be part of the 444 Club. It's that Susquehanna River Club, where you have to do the entirety of the Susquehanna within one calendar year. I want to do it within 1 year. And I have plans to shoot it all together. If possible, I want to live stream every night from the islands. And I also want to do a meetup at the end. And as I've been talking about this and thinking about this, I've been looking at drones. Okay, and for the drone, you want to have something that has like a follow me feature. So you could toss it up in the sky and it'll follow you or go in front of you and you know, kind of watch you and back up. You know, stuff like that. Simple controls, all the good stuff. So I was looking at them, and these things are like, you know, to get good video, they're like $1,000. You know, $1,200. Too much for me to justify. But then I saw these drone commercials for the Drone X Pro. And apparently, the company said they, you know, the one guy was working for this high-end drone company, and you know, they started using cheaper parts and bumping the price up instead of making it affordable for everyone. And he didn't agree for it, and he eventually got fired or left. I forget. So he started his own factory and started making these, and he only sells them direct to consumers. And you know, it has all these great specs, and you know, half hour to an hour fly time, 4K video, you know, all the features you want for like $150. So I was going nuts. trying to find this thing. And then I came across a couple threads on Reddit and then a couple consumer reports. It's a scam. It's a scam. So I was so upset about that. I mean, I'm glad I did the research. Don't get me wrong there. I'm very glad I did the research. But yeah, scam, total scam. So upset. Yeah, boo. Boo is right. Boo. So I was very upset about that. So I'm thinking about getting a SLR or DSLR camcorder to start shooting my YouTube videos and stuff on. And then I'll also be able to get better shots and angles because I could use my my cell phone then as a viewfinder. JD, good morning, Joe. How are we doing today? And may the 4th be with you. So I was very upset about all of that, but what are you gonna do? I'm glad I did the research. So I'm looking at those camcorders and stuff now over at B&H Photo because they're a very good company, very well established, very reputable. I know several professional photographers who use exclusively B&H. But man, that would have been so cool. Everything I wanted in a drone at a nice, easy, reasonable price. Cheaper price. Even if it only worked for 6 months or a year. Oh, heaven. But nope. So I'd rather push my money into a nice high-end camcorder for shooting YouTube stuff as opposed to $1,000 drone that I'm only going to have limited application for. But man, I wish that worked. I wish that was a real thing. That would have been so great. I already explained it, but the TLDR is this drone. It was the Drone X Pro, and it was supposed to be super high in parts, but the guy got fired from a factory because he disagreed with management, so he decided to make his own. It had all these specs, half hour to an hour fly time, 4K video, follow me feature, path feature, all the stuff you want for like $150. Came across a couple Reddit threads and then a couple consumer reports after that. It's a scam. I'm not going to go into all the details, just so they can't come back after me, I guess for legal reasons. But yeah, it had all the specs of a $1,000, $1,200 drone for $150. And the only reason I started doing all that research instead of jumping on it was too good to be true. And usually if it sounds too good to be true, it is. Well, it was. And then I could use, you could even use that as a regular camcorder then. If it shoots 4K, that's beautiful because by nature, they have gimbals inside of them. So, the flight doesn't mess up your video. So it'd be perfect for even like a handheld. It has the little gimbal in there. Awesome. Oh well. Yeah, it's a very good thing I took a minute to research. Otherwise, I'd have a $40 toy drone from China as opposed to a $150 professional or prosumer grade drone from Germany. So I'm glad I did the research, but still it's disappointing. So I'm gonna put money into a camcorder. And like I was telling everyone else earlier, the last piece for the leather I need to find and figure out is how to stamp and mark it. And I want to get a hot foil transfer machine. Because in doing all my research, I also found that these aren't the $30 items I thought they were. They are like $60, $70. So I find that machine, I get some foil and get my my maker's mark, and I can start stamping and branding and foiling these things, and start making some real money. Especially because I can do all this stuff at home. Since I only have 2 shop days, that leaves 5 days I can do leather work from the apartment. Well, it'll probably really be like 2 days that I can do leather work, because I still have to, watch Connor at night, and I still have to do, I still have to have some sort of a social life and personal life, and I also have to edit videos and stuff, and maintenance and shipping and blah 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 blah. But I think that foil transfer machine is the last piece of the puzzle. And I also need to figure out what leathers I'm best at working with, because the leather I got on Friday it's nice. It's really nice. It's a double shoulder veg tan, super soft temper. They said it was 4 to 5 ounce. It is like 6 or 7, which is too thick for a wallet or any of these things. So I'm going to figure out what to do with this leather. I'm thinking like I'm going to pop a couple coasters out of it. Maybe a new arm guard for archery. The one I have is nice, but it's not super nice. We definitely pull a couple belts out of this as well. I could pull a couple nice belts out of this. Maybe I'll do that for one of my giveaways. Real nice belt. But that cobra leather, it's not actually cobra, they just call it, it's like calf or bull or something. Still super, super supple, but it's also super thin, which is important. You don't want anything over like a 4 ounce when you're doing, book type things or wallets or protectors. So there's that. Ooh. You know what this would also be good for? Like keychains. Yes, keychains. Think like a little fob with a little doobly-doo at the top, a key ring, maker's mark foil stamped into it. Yeah, that'd be sexy. So I think I'll do that too with that leather. Yeah. I don't think you were on Saturday, but my stream got pulled. And one reason was, it could have been, there might have been some music that I couldn't hear in the background in the house somewhere that my microphone picked up. And of course, YouTube flagged it, pulled my stream, whatever. Which, if that's the case, it sucks. It's shitty because I couldn't hear it. They couldn't hear it. But then there was also, and I just figured this out yesterday or Saturday night, I forget which, but apparently my giveaways have been illegal because I didn't have a contest rules, which I thought, you show up, you watch me, you tell me a number when I'm done, and random number generator, boop, done. All right, yeah, there's the winner. But I guess I have to have rules and stuff and regulations and blah, 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 blah. Red tape, red tape, red tape. It seems like everything I end up doing on YouTube or on the internet is just so much ridiculous red tape. Like, dude, it's really not that complicated. Or it shouldn't be that complicated, rather. So I need to figure that out this week. It's lame, but at the same time, I also don't want someone to be able to come back after me and be like, well, he didn't explain the rules and I really wanted it and blah, 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 blah. Now I'm going to sue him, which would really suck. I'm just trying to do something fun to lighten everyone's mood and get them, excited during this whole quarantine lockdown bullshit, and I don't know. I figured, doing these live streams and doing these giveaways would, yes, it helps my channel because it gets people watching and I get watch time and stuff, but that's not the reason I'm doing it. The reason I'm doing it is to get some sort of a schedule for myself. Because if I have to be on at 9, that means I need to wake up at a certain time and have food and, coffee, and it keeps my mind active, so I'm not just kind of, floating off into lethargy. And then the giveaways, it seems like it's fun for everyone. So I think it's just, I don't know. What did you say? That's because YouTube is collapsing under the weight of their own bullshit on the content creator side. Yes, they really are. A lot of it too is because there are so many assholes that get onto this website just to try and make a quick buck and fuck everyone else. And they do things that are wildly inappropriate. And it just ends up creating such a calamity for everybody else because they need to, YouTube needs to cover this. And I understand that. They need to cover themselves legally. I get that. However, like for the whole adpocalypse thing with Logan Paul, he was an asshole. He screwed everything up. And I get it. It's not just him. He was just the biggest straw that broke the camel's back. However, I was already, in good faith on this on YouTube. I was into their programs. I did everything by the book, and I still got kicked out of the monetization program because of adpocalypse. And that was kind of the beginning of the end, I think, for a lot of people. And if you notice on my channel, after that, there was a huge drop-off in my videos. Not till I could, not only because we moved from the apartment into Michaela's parents' house, and we ended up taking care of her grandmother, helping take care of her grandmother while things went south there. That's why we actually moved. But then I kind of fell into a depression, and what's the point of YouTube anyways? Because I'm not making any money. I'm just talking into the void. And it wasn't really until the red door where I started getting back up on my game. But so there's a huge slump, and a lot of that, it's my fault. But I wasn't making any money, so who cares? I put so much time and energy into this. Screw it. So let's see what else, Joe. Well, that's what YouTube was at first. It was a no rules cash grab till the adpocalypse. Yeah. And I can see suspending everyone's accounts until they can verify that you're in the program with good faith. But at that point, you should reinstate people who are still acting in good faith and who have acted in good faith the entire time. Don't punish people for doing the right thing just because they're not, a super millionaire. But huge misconception. I can't talk today. I'm sorry. A huge misconception is that YouTubers make bank anymore, hence Patreon and such. Yeah, I wish I was making bank. I wish I was making enough money to stay at home, to be a stay-at-home father, and just do this every day for the rest of my life. And really, it wouldn't really cost all that much money for me to quit my day job and become a full-time, do Nightsmith full-time. It'd be, $2,200, $2,300 a month. Which really isn't that much. And yeah, my patrons over at Patreon definitely help that, and huge shout out to all of you guys. Actually, let me pull that up and read their names off real quick, because I am very appreciative of my patrons. Let's see, 7 patrons. And they are Brandon Hanna, Eileen Braden, Hannah Knox, Laura Blackwell, Maria, Tammy Gillette, and Troy O'Grady. You know, it's less than $40 a month I get from them. You know, all 7 of them together. Which is why I'm branding. You know, I'm pushing out. I'm going to be doing merch and all this other stuff. But I so wish I could do this full time. That's the dream. You know, build beautiful things out of wood, leather, metal. You know, shoot videos for you guys and put up content. Talk to you guys. Have meetups and giveaways. You know, be able to stay at home with my kid all the time, because that would be so cool. You know, watching him grow up and teaching him stuff, and even when he goes to school, you know, getting up every morning, cooking him breakfast, you know, getting him ready for the day, sending him out into the world, and still being there by the time he comes home from the bus. That would be great, and helping with his homework and stuff. That's the dream for me, for Knightsmith. That's what I want out of this. And 2 years ago, it looked like I was up on that. I was going up that slope slowly, but it's gaining momentum, and you know, it's a slow build, and I get it. But the AdSense would have been a beautiful passive income source. It would have been an absolutely beautiful passive income source, because a lot of my videos are evergreen videos. The philosophy videos, all the beard videos are evergreen videos, and people just love that shit. So it would have just been a nice slow trickle of money into my account. Then I could, you know, look around and start pushing, you know, these tentacles elsewhere, and start getting more passive streams like that. And then, ta-da! It would have been a fully realized dream. My own house, you know, raising my kids all day and working for myself all day. So, you know, I really do have to thank my patrons for sticking with me and actually increasing the support of me. You know, even while I was kind of MIA on the channel. But that adpocalypse really hit me hard. That really hurt. Because I was so close, guys. I actually still have like $62 in my till. You don't get paid until you get 100. So I was just right there. I was like another month away from getting my first paycheck from YouTube, and yoink. But I'm gonna get there again, and you know, putting these videos out and these live streams are definitely helping, because they changed the requirements. You need 1,000 subscribers, and right now I have 423. I lost a couple somehow over the last couple days. I lost 3. I'm still at the size where losing 3 hurts. But I lost 3 subscribers. I need 1,000, and I'm at 1,000 hours of watch time in the last calendar year. I need 4,000. So we're getting there. Slowly but surely, I'm climbing that hill again. But yeah, that is a very big misconception. Like, it seems like there's a dichotomy of people's minds of YouTubers. You're either you know, living in your parents' basement, which at the moment I am because my apartment's destroyed, or you're a semi-psychopathic millionaire, a sociopathic millionaire. And I'm really neither. I'm just a dude trying to make some stuff, some pretty stuff, and show the world that, you know, you can do it too. But yeah, it's a weird dichotomy that people have in their minds about YouTubers and vloggers and stuff. You're either richer or a loser, which I don't think I'm either, but whatever. Yeah, so there's that. I guess that was a little mini rant or whatever. But I do have to stay still out of YouTube. I'm still making money off YouTube, just not through YouTube, because a lot of people, privately contact me and stuff because of my videos and commission me, which is beautiful. Which was the original purpose of Nightsmith, the YouTube channel, is to kind of be a showcase and an advertisement for me. And it turned into its own beast real quick. And I'm out of coffee. But Joe, what are you doing today? What's your plans for today or this week? We missed you on Saturday, by the way. I made this beautiful notebook cover. And Laura Blackwell ended up winning it. So you got that. You got this pocket here. Nice pocket. Another nice pocket there. You can hold 2 pens. This is a nice live edge that I cut off and burnished. Pretty wallet. Not wallet. Notebook cover. You missed your chance. But yeah, I need to look at many more monetization streams and stuff. And ooh, yeah, Laura, you won that. You're gonna get it soon enough so you can admire it all your own. Producing audio. Interesting. Once this whole lockdown stuff is, we know you're teasing. Once this whole lockdown stuff is over, Joe, I'm going to have to get together with you and pick your brain about several different things, actually. I think there's going to be a lot of collaboration. There's already a lot of collaboration potential between the two of us. You should do podcasts. You have the voice for it. That is one thing I do want to get into. I want to do some podcasting and some audiobooks, because I do believe that would be a very good thing to do, because if you look at royalties for audiobooks especially, you have 2 different options. You can be paid by the finished minute, or you get 50% of royalties for 7 years. So I think if I get a good setup together and I really get good at Audacity, I can do 2 or 3 audiobooks for cash up front, and then do 2 or 3 for the long-term royalty check. And even if I'm not making a whole lot of money at that, if I do between 2 and 5 a year, I would then have a very nice long-term passive income source, and that would be an absolutely beautiful thing. But I'm glad you think I have the voice for it. Podcasting is so much fun. I found a happy home with it for sure. Good. I like to jump on there a few times. Have to bullshit with you and have to see if I can get a plug or 2. And maybe podcasting is something else I can get into. But again, that's something I'd like to pick your brain at it, because between the 2 of us, you are definitely an expert. It seems like it's a very fun and good thing to do. And I listen to a lot of podcasters, actually. Probably the most famous one is Joe Rogan. Because I love how he usually doesn't really give much of an opinion on topics. He just kind of digs deeper and deeper, and he lets his guests do most of the talking. And yeah, he's funny. It banters back and forth. But he has a very good mind for just digging deeper in it, and that's something I really enjoy. So he's probably the most famous one. And then I know Rich and Eileen listen to these one podcast. What I forget what it is. It's like something like occultists or something that you guys are always listening to, or cult stories or something. Very fascinating stuff. Joe Rogan is one of my bigger influences as a host. He's great. He really is, Joe. He really is good. Cults podcast, and I love Crime Junkies. Yeah, I need to check both of those out. When this is over, Eileen, can you send me links to those? Just so I could, start digging in. I want to cut my teeth onto something new. But yeah, I think podcasting is something I could get into. When I don't think I want to really start it myself until I'm somewhere where I can control the audio quality a little bit better than what I am now. Obviously, I can't control much here because it's not even my own house. But when I get to my apartment, even then, there's still certain things I can't control, like Connor screaming, or Michaela doing dishes or whatever, or the other, my other neighbors in the building. There's only so much I can control. So I really need to figure out a way to fix that one way or the other. But I do want to do voiceovers, and I do want to do some podcasting and stuff. I think it'd be fun, and that'd be a very chill way to make some passive income, I believe. I listen to Crime Junkies and When I Craft. Ashley and Britt have smooth voices. Good. There's always something particularly nice when someone has just that nice butter voice and you can just listen for hours and kind of zone out. Oh, dude, a lot of that happens in post-production. I can imagine. I go through a lot of post-production with my YouTube videos and stuff, and there's so much I can't control. Like a lot of things are like my non-fluencies, like when I'm trying to explain things. When I'm doing my voiceovers, I have to do it in my apartment, and I have to do a whole thing there, just to get it sounding halfway decent. So I understand that, but the more you can control your environment, the less post you have to do. So I'm not sure how much I want to struggle with, how much I want to struggle with versus worth. What is wrong with me? How much I want to struggle with versus how much I want to, how much that would, change my enjoyment or my monetary factors. Because I know, like, when you're doing voiceovers for like audiobooks and stuff, you're only paid per finished minute. So if it takes you 45 minutes to get 1 minute of good, clean, usable audio, well, tough. Untie the tongue first before trying to talk. Dude, I try. Some days I'm better at it. Some days it's just horrible. I've always had this mild stutter when I talk. A lot of people say they don't notice it. I think they're being kind. I definitely notice it. But I yeah, it is what it is. I do my best and struggle through it. You should see how much I have to cut out when I'm doing voiceovers for my videos. It's kind of atrocious. Yeah, but it's fun. I enjoy it. So that's just one thing I want to look into in the future. And I doing the voiceovers I think would be very fun. Trying to talk in a nice butter voice. Doing the different accents and everything else to get a good product out there. I think it'd be fun. And I think it would be really worth it. And I know most voice actors do things for like online courses and stuff, in different languages for different people, which would be fine for me. I think that would be an interesting, process, but a lot of them are for like industrial applications. You have to take this course to learn how to use this machine, and this person is the one explaining it. Fine. A dollar's a dollar. But I do want to dig into that, and I think it'd be fun. And I could also then convert a lot of my YouTube videos, the philosophy and the Manliness Mondays. A lot of those can be converted straight to podcast. Because you really don't need to see our faces and stuff. We're just, talking about philosophy and things like that. That's why I produce conversational type shows, because a lot of it can be a time suck to get over the same minute of audio. Podcasts don't need to be as polished as other forms of audio. This is true. Speaking of languages, for is your Gaelic going? Eileen, that was a beautiful sentence in English. My Gaelic is going okay. Ish, maybe. Okay, well, here's confession time. Duolingo has given up on me. I've been so busy in my head the last like 4 days, 3-4 days, that they said, they actually sent me a notification. It seems like these notifications aren't working for you. We're going to stop sending them. That hurts. So I really need to jump back into it, because it is a skill I do want to learn. I want to learn how to speak several different languages. English, because I mostly kind of barely speak English. I want to learn Gaelic. I want to learn Spanish. I used to speak near fluent Spanish and near fluent German when I was a child. Then there was no one up here for me to speak with, and that just kind of went away, which sucks. But I want to learn, I want to relearn German and Spanish, and I want to become fluent in Gaelic. It's all about keeping the old noggin working and turning. That's how you live forever. Because at the end of the day, all this can be replaced and modified and swapped out, but this guy in here, that's the point of failure. You can get new knees, new livers, new hearts, new lungs now, new eyes, new ears. You can't build you a new brain. I'm sure they're working on it. I'm sure they're trying, but until they can build that brain, that new brain, this is the point of failure. So I'm trying to keep this as greased and polished and well maintained as I can. Learning new skills, pretty much just new skills. Rehashing old ones, challenging myself. But the problem is I fight laziness quite extensively. I can be quite a lazy person. A lot of people don't see me as being lazy because when I'm working, 8-9 hours at a job, and then I turn around and go home and do a bunch of shit home, or go to the shop, and I'm working till midnight, and I can do that. Before we got the apartment, I was doing that every day. Monday through Saturday, I was doing 16-hour days, Monday through Friday, and 12, another 8 to 12 hours on Saturday before going back to my in-laws' house. Getting Knightsmith back up on his feet and getting everything running. But I really, at my core, I'm a lazy person. Just a point of fact. I'm a very lazy person. And that's to my detriment, because I want to learn Duolingo, but at the same time, I can just sit and relax. I can watch TV. I can have another cup of coffee. Let's go have a pipe outside. But guys, this is rounding up on my hour. So I'm not going to dig into any more deep topics. Recap time. Make one of those sandwiches. Fantastic. You will definitely thank yourself, even if your arteries won't. I need to pattern things. I need to pattern next week's project. I think I'm going to do like a minimalist wallet, just like a card wallet type thing. So I'm going to get some patterns for that together. I need to get the rules for the contest worked out. I need to look at cameras. I need to find that hot foil transfer machine, so I could foil stamp and brand my leather work, because that is just sexy. It really is. Yeah, I think that's the last key. Clean cars, practice my Gaelic. I think that's what I'm doing this week. So there's my recap. There's my show. Ooh, also, I almost completely forgot. Mandalorian. The Mandalorian is coming out again today. If you have Disney Plus, I highly, highly, highly suggest watching it. First season was incredible, and I think this next season is going to be just the same. Fantastic. Yeah. So I think that's all my stuff for this week. So guys, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. I appreciate you, because without you, I probably wouldn't be here. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock, and hopefully I'll have a few updates for you as to this whole rigmarole of what I'm doing and what I'm planning and blah, 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 blah. Stay safe, and thank you for helping make this world better, one kerf at a time, and I'll see you tomorrow morning.